If I was to ask you what the word blessed means, what would you say? Most people would say it means happy or fortunate or even lucky. Some even say it might be holy. But if I was to ask you what it meant to be living a blessed life, what would you then say? Would you mean living a life that was complete, content? People today don't really understand what the word blessed means, do they? When I was about 5 years old, I grew up in a non-Christian homes, a pretty non-Christian home, really non-Christian home actually. When I was about 5 years old, my mother and I and my sister went shopping. And while I was shopping, I think my sister was looking at shoes or looking at clothes, and I was, mucking around in the aisle, dancing or playing soldier or doing something like that. And a man walked into me, bumped into me. And as he walked off, he said, "Bless you, my son." I freaked out. You see, the only time I ever heard someone say "bless you" is when someone sneezed. And I got told that reason why is because it was the release of evil spirits. So when this man turned around and said, "Bless you," I actually thought maybe he was cursing me and sending the evil spirits back to me. So I started screaming around and started yelling, "Mama," start freaking out. See, people really don't quite understand what the word blessed means. We got this thing called #blessed, which is on social media, where people come and take photos of them, doing things happening to them, happening things like when they graduate from university, they have #blessed, or they brought their new house, #blessed. But is that what really it means? Greek philosophers taught that there is 4 basic things for what they need to be happy or be blessed. And that is family, wealth, health, and security. Even the Hebrew scholars taught that too. So many people pursue these things to make them happy. But then, why aren't they happy? Why aren't they feeling blessed? Because we haven't listened to what Jesus actually says, what being blessed is. We all know a story about the rich young ruler, don't we? We've heard it before. If you don't, it's found in Matthew chapter 15, verse 19, verse 16 through 28. The rich young ruler approaches Jesus one day as he's teaching, and he comes up and asks the question, "Teacher, what must I do to enter into the kingdom of heaven?" And Jesus says, "You must follow the commandments. Shall not steal, shall not commit adultery, and so on and so on and so forth." And the rich young ruler said, "Wow, I've done that since I've been a young boy." The big smirk on his face. And Jesus turned around, "Well, there's one thing you are lacking." He said, "Go sell your possessions and follow me." And the rich young ruler turned away sad because he had many possessions. Why did he walk away sad though? Why was he sad? Because he thought those possessions, he were taught from the Hebrew scholars, that meant he was blessed by God. And here's Jesus saying, "No, get rid of those possessions and follow me, because they're not what make you happy." So he walked away unhappy. So what does Jesus say about being a blessed life then? Well, there's a sermon that Jesus spoke. It's probably the greatest speech that anyone's given, greater than Martin Luther King Jr., where I have a dream, or Lincoln at the Gideon. What's the name of the thing? I lost it. Gideon Bags Express. Address. Or Peter at the Passover, Pentecost, day of Pentecost. The greatest speech ever recorded was Sermon on the Mount, which can be found in Matthew chapter 5. But the first few verses Jesus goes to is the Beatitudes. And it's here that we find what it means to be blessed. So reading from Matthew chapter 5, 3 to 12, it says, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Blessed are the persecutors, for they will be called children of God. Blessed are those who persecute because of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when people insult you, persecute you, and falsely say all things of kind of evil against you because of me. Rejoice and be glad, because great is your reward in heaven. For the same way they persecute the prophets who were before you. The world says you are blessed if you are wealthy. Jesus says, blessed are those who hunger and thirst. The world says you are blessed if you are healthy. Jesus says, blessed are the poor in spirit. The world says you are blessed if you have a family. Jesus says, blessed are those who mourn. The world says you are blessed if you have security. But Jesus says, blessed are those who are cursed. I'm not sure about you, but I have mourned. I didn't feel quite blessed that day. And I have been poor in spirit, did not feel happy at all. I've been persecuted, and that wasn't fun. So what is Jesus saying here? What is he actually saying here? I think there's a huge clue in the last beatitude. It says, blessed are you when people insult you, persecute you, and falsely say all kinds of evil against you because of me. These last few words, because of me, and in some translations, for my name's sake, is the key verse, is the key word. In 165 BC, Israel was overlorded by, I think it was the Assyrians. And the chancellor that was in charge of them, his name was Lysias. Now, Lysias was not a very nice man, and he persecuted the Jews because Jews were just always fighting against him. They wouldn't conform to the ways of his law. And one particular persecution that he did, he got there and he roasted pork, and then he took it into the temple, and he told his guards to go to the priest and say, eat the pork. And if they refused to eat the pork, they would then gut the priests. So that's what they did. They went from temple to temple, and each time the priest refused, and because Jews and pork don't mix, and it's a big no-no for the Jews to eat it. And he went and gutted the priest. They went to one temple, and the priest there, his name was Elazar. And as the guard said, here's pork, eat the pork. And Elazar said, come here, come here. So they started walking forward, and as they got close, Elazar pulled out a knife and gutted the guards. Now this resulted in a 3-year revolt of the Jewish people, which is known as the time of the Maccabees. And they revolted against great odds, and they held their captors at bay for quite a number of years. And but during this time, there arose a catch cry, and it was, "Blessed are you who are persecuted for God's name or God's will." And this became a catch cry during this time. And a lot of people looked towards the Maccabees and the Zealots, who were their counterparts, as in high esteem. Now, they are still high in esteem even in the time of Jesus, which was 160 years later, the Maccabees and the Zealots. And that catch fire they still held that catch fire even then, because they were being persecuted by the Romans at this time and being guarded by the Romans. Persecuted, blessed are those who are persecuted in God's name. Here Jesus says, blessed are you who are persecuted for me. And the whole crowd, when he said that, the whole crowd that was on the sermon, I was stunned to silence. Because right at the moment, he was putting himself on par or equal with God. And, when they heard, blessed are you persecuted for my name's sake, for me, he was actually saying, blessed because I am God. So that's what I'm saying. So if you're being persecuted for God, you're now being persecuted for me. And now we're going, what? What are you talking about? You're saying, I'm God. And if you stand if you stand with me, if you're standing for God, you're standing for me. We look back to the rich young ruler. I said he walked away sad. But there's something he actually missed. Jesus didn't say, just sell your possessions, that will make you happy. There's something else he said. He said, sell your possessions and follow me. What Jesus was saying is, sell your possessions and then come and put your trust in me and follow me. Put your life on me. And that's where you'll find your true blessing. That's where you'll be totally blessed. You won't find it in your possessions. You won't find it in all your lands and your money, but you'll find it in me. And that's what he says to us today. As we go through the Sermon on the Mount, there's the very last story that comes to Jesus. It's probably one of my favorite stories, one of my favorite, kind of like a parable. It's talking about the house built upon the rock, the wise man and the foolish man. And the wise man built his house upon the rock, and the foolish man built his house upon the sand. And as storms came, and the winds bashed, and the rains pelted against the houses, the house upon rock stood firm, didn't budge. The house built upon the sand was annihilated, was destroyed. Now Jesus comes out and says, yeah, I am that rock. If you build your house upon me, if you build your life upon me, you'll stand firm against all storms. You're standing firm against all storms. When you're poor in spirit, when you're mourning, when you're being persecuted, when you're thirsty, when you're hungry, you'll stand firm upon the rock if you put your life upon me. That is where we are truly blessed. That is where we will find ultimate happiness, upon the rock. So I want to ask you a question. Are you happy? If not, maybe it's time to stop pursuing what the world says that will make you happy. Health, wealth, family, security. And put your trust and build your life upon Jesus, upon the rock. And it's there you'll find true happiness. And you'll be able to be a blessed life. And no matter what storms may come, no matter what difficulties in life may have set upon you, you'll be able to stand firm and have a blessed and happy life. Let's say a quick prayer and we'll end our session today. Dear God, thank you that you give us everything that we ever needed. You give us life. You give us happiness, but only can be found if we put our lives in you. Lord, I thank you for your word, Lord, that we can look to it and search it, and just pull out gems from it that can just help our lives to be drawn closer to you and help our lives to be filled with direction and purpose. I thank you again, Lord, for loving us. Praise your wonderful name. Amen.